College students across the country are recognizing National Transfer Week. John Wood Community College is highlighting the college transfer process now. About half of John Wood students transfer on to four-year universities. Today, the school hosted more than a dozen private colleges so students could see what opportunities are out there and what those counselors have to say. They say it's never too early to start planning.
Students that are thinking about transferring should do the work. They should do the research. They should make connections. Don't assume that you know about schools. There are a lot of schools and opportunities that they may not be aware of. And so we want to help them get all the information they can so that they can make an informed decision that'll be really successful for them.
November 6th, John Wood will host the Tri-State College Fair at its Student Activity Center with more regional four-year schools.